We're joined now on the line from Bucharest in neighbouring Romania by Clara Volinturu, who is an expert in the economic and the political affairs of the region as the Black Sea Regional Director at the German Marshall Fund. Clara Volinturu, welcome to the programme. Good to have you on Around the World. We do appreciate your time. Maybe I could begin by asking you, even though this ruling party won, the PAS, President Maya Sandu's ruling party, even they seemed surprised by the scale of their victory. What happened here?
I think it's not as surprising as it might seem, because Moldova has been gearing up for the past years, facing electoral rounds every year, from local elections to presidential and the referendum last year, and then now the parliamentary elections. Moldova has been facing Russian interference in each round, and so it has become more and more astute at countering interferences and malign practices. On the other hand, I think it is surprising for a ruling party to maintain its position despite numerous crises, from the security challenges with a full-scale invasion in neighboring Ukraine to the domestic energy crisis, economic issues, and so on. So I think in this context, you might say that this is a surprise, but the societal resilience that the Moldovan public has shown in these elections is remarkable, and it is the result of a consistent action from the government and the whole of society approach, independent media, civil society, to make sure that the right information gets through and the public is made aware of misconduct across the full electoral cycle.
We'll come back to what actually happened, as you say, how that election was fought and won. But I am conscious that Moldova is a small country and it's not very often in the news, so perhaps it would be useful for our viewers to get a quick idea, particularly about some aspects of it. I think most of the population actually speak Romanian. It'd be interesting to know a little about Moldova's relationship with Romania. And can you tell us as well about Transnistria, this unrecognised pro-Russian breakaway enclave in Moldova? What is the relationship of Transnistria with the capital?
So Moldova is relevant on multiple accounts to the entire European security and stability. On one hand, because of its long border with Ukraine, and that of the region of Transnistria, where there is a Russian army based still, there is a risk of opening up a second front towards Ukraine if Moldova would fall under Russian control once again, politically. And to that respect, having a clear commitment to European accession, but also to the European alliance of support for Ukraine, it's very important for the regional situation. Secondly, Moldova offers a laboratory to Russia, a test case. Russian malign actors, non-state sometimes, like Ilan Shore, are piloting destabilizing techniques in Moldova because Moldova has such a large European population. Almost a third of its population lives in the diaspora, and they own European passports due to their dual citizenship, Romanian Moldovan. So in that respect, Moldova offers a gateway to a public that's European-minded, culturally and professionally, socioeconomically. And so Russia can test various narratives, malign interferences in Moldova, that it then spreads across the entire European continent. We've seen the same happen in the Romanian elections, in the German elections, in the French elections, and there's probably more to come. So for these two reasons, security and the hybrid warfare piloting techniques, Russia holds Moldova under a very, let's say, a tight strategic objective. And the European Union has stepped up on its own and provided solidarity and support to the Moldovan president in countering the hybrid warfare from Russia.
Talking about the result, We heard there from some of the people in our Vox Pop, a range of opinions. The economy in Moldova is struggling. There is, to some extent, some worry about corruption. What do you think the PAS now has to do to consolidate that vote in its favour and to make sure it wins the next time around?
The PAS has to do two things. One on the outside, outward driven, which is developing the full package of reforms required for the pre-accession process, and that the PAS government has been quite able to achieve so far. There is credible evidence to showcase that Moldova is moving very swiftly and convincingly in implementing the reforms required by the EU accession process. On the other hand, the PAS has been less able to provide confidence and trust to the regions that are left behind, bordering regions, especially in the north of the country to Ukraine, regions that are close to Transnistria, the autonomous region of Gagauzia. These are all places where there is still a very strong pro-Russian sentiment, and there's little engagement with regards to the local public there from the pro-European elites, political elites. And that public has to be won back, either undecided or outward pro-Russian. They're still Moldovan citizens, and for this critical mass of pro-Europeans to expand, the governing party has to build bridges across the entire society.
Now, European Union leaders have been openly very pleased with this result. You know the whole area very well, including some of the other European Union countries in that region. Do you think this result will reduce Euroscepticism in some other countries, such as Poland, such as Hungary?
I think Moldova is a brave example for countries both in the EU and outside the EU. People all across the Eastern Partnership region, across the Black Sea region, are looking at Moldova as an example of democratic resilience and the brave fight, as I mentioned before, of the political elites to stand firmly on a European trajectory. I know Georgians were envious of such a political leadership. I know Armenia is looking very closely at Moldova as a good example of what their country could achieve as well. And also, let's not forget countries in the Western Balkans that are on the pre-accession trajectory. I think Ukraine is the most dramatic example of how Russia can destabilize and interfere in a sovereign country. But at the same time, all countries in Europe's periphery are also vulnerable to various forms of aggression. So Moldova's capacity to stand strong on a European trajectory and to stand strong against hybrid manifestations, from vote buying to disinformation to distribution of crypto coins and even kinetic operations, protests that are funded by Russian proxies. So a wide variety of tools that Moldovan authorities and the Moldovan public were able to counteract. This is a good example for countries that are under threat. Within the European Union, we need to pay better attention because, as I said before, some of these tactics are coming home in European democracies, and I don't think there is enough lessons learned and peer-to-peer transfer to make our societies more resilient against the hybrid threats that will come our way increasingly more.
Okay, well, we're going to have to leave it there. Thank you so much for your time. Clara Volinturu there from the German Marshall Fund. We really do appreciate your thoughts and insights there on that.